First of all, I got to tell you, I'm seeing whey protein everywhere on social media. Like, people are just sprinkling it on everything. Before we get to what's actually happening in the industry and what we're seeing as far as numbers look, what is it a byproduct of? How is it made? Where does it come from?
Yeah, so whey protein is a byproduct of making cheese, and that's a big part of the essential challenge right now. You can't just make more whey protein without making more cheese, and then you would have to store it and sell all that cheese. So it's a protein that's very popular for a bunch of reasons. It's easy to dissolve and add it to food. It's easy to digest. It's a complete source of protein, which means it has all the amino acids. So that's why it's one of the top picks for food companies looking to, as you put it, put protein in everything.
So it's not just consumers that are buying, straight up whey protein. You have the companies, the CPG companies, that are saying, wait a second, consumers want protein the way we can protein max our product and then put like how many grams of protein are on the front of the package is by adding whey protein.
Exactly. And it's a tough time for packaged food companies. People are, skeptical of ultra-processed food, but when you can say that a food has added protein, people are much more persuaded by it, and it appears healthier. So there are a lot of reasons for food companies, in addition to just consumer demand, to want to tout protein-enriched products, and to do that, they are often turning to whey protein.
Okay, so Kristina, your story out today with Elena Peng from Bloomberg News is about maybe some alternatives to whey protein and the limitations that those have presented.
Yeah, that's right. Food companies faced with much more expensive whey protein are looking at what their options are, and they do have different, alternatives that they are looking at with more seriousness now. The problem is that whenever you change ingredients, you often have to reformulate. So I spoke with one company that used just a different source of whey protein, and they said it turned their pancake baking mix to sawdust.
Wow.
So they have to reformulate now. And if you switch to something like milk protein concentrate, that has a different mouthfeel. And so there's just a lot of complexity. The proteins don't all interact with other ingredients the same way.
You said something that caught my ear, which was, it appears healthier. Is this stuff healthy?
I think it depends on the product. I'm not sure that just adding protein is enough to make a product healthy. Is a Dorito with protein healthier than a Dorito? That's for you and your nutritionist to decide. But certainly consumers view it as healthier.
What about just straight up whey protein? Like if we were to, as consumers, were to take whey protein and add it to our yogurt, as some people do, or put it in a smoothie, is that healthy?
I think it probably depends on sort of if you're getting enough protein. One thing that experts often say is, what are you eating that instead of? So if you're eating that instead of, lots of fruits and vegetables, I don't know. But if you're eating that instead of junk food, it probably is healthier.
And Kristina, I know that we've spoken before about non-whey sources of protein, particularly meat and, big meat and meat sticks.
I thought you were going to go to the non-dairy stuff. Like the the plant-based stuff.
Well, tell us more broadly, Kristina, about just what are the alternative ways that you're now seeing people try and consume protein?
Yeah, so one thing that we do see hugely on the rise is dried meat sticks, jerky. Those are doing really well. And some companies are super creative with how they're incorporating meat proteins. Wild Protein Snacks uses chicken breast and egg white to make chips and crackers. So people who are providing protein in formats that aren't whey protein have kind of an advantage right now. And then there's also plant-based protein like soy protein, pea protein. Those, I think, got kind of a bad rap when we saw some of the plant-based meat alternatives. So I think people are struggling with sort of whether they want to use those or not, if that makes a product seem more processed or not. But some of those can be good alternatives for whey protein.
We don't have a ton of time. We have like 30 seconds, but we spoke with Dr. Michael Swanson, Chief Agriculture Economist over at the Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute last week, and we asked him if he sees this as being a fad, and he said no. I think he thinks protein is here to stay. What's your general view?
Yeah, I agree. There don't seem to be a lot of signs of waning interest in protein yet.